Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome and heartfelt welcome to our esteemed resource persons and participant to the 6-day online training of teachers program of Human Anatomy and Physiology second, Theory and Practical. This program is being organized by Amar Saeed Baba Ajit Singh Jujar Singh Memorial College of Pharmacy, Bela, Punjab, under the esteemed banner of the APTI Punjab State Branch. Myself, Dr. A.S. Kuswa, co-convener of this programs, and it is a privilege and honors and welcome to today resource persons, Dr. Tapan Behel sir, Professor and Head, Amity University, Amity University Punjab, and today topic they have to cover module 5, reproductive system and introduction of genetics. Dr. Tapan Behel sir is currently working as a professor and head at Amity University Pharmaceutical Sciences, Amity University Mohali, Punjab, India. Dr. Behel completed his doctoral studies from Vallabhbhai Patel Chest Institute, University of the Delhi, and subsequently worked as a postdoctoral researcher. His area of the expertise including diabetes and associated complications of molecular pharmacology, neuropathic pain, and its complications. Dr. Behel has published more than 500 research and review papers in national and international journals. He has authored several international books and hold numerous of patents. His ongoing research focus on exploring molecular mechanisms in diabetes related complications, rheumatoid arthritis, and obesity. Dr. Behel served as a reviewer for the reputed journal including PLOS ONE, International Immunopharmacology, and Oxidative Medicines and Cellular Longevities. Among his accolades, Dr. Behel has received the gold medal for the academic excellence, that outstanding researcher award, the DST International Travel Grant, and the Scientist of the Year award in year of 2017. He is also a recipient of the prestigious fellowship from the Sri Ratan Tata Memorial Trust. Notably, he has been listed among the top 2% scientists worldwide by Stanford University and elsewhere for the 5 consecutive years. Dr. Behel has successfully completed 14 research projects and supervised several PhD and postgraduate students and chaired multiple national and international conference sessions. So I welcome to Dr. Behel sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your warm welcome. Is my slide visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for the confirmation, sir. So definitely, I must congratulate COP Bela for organizing such a FDP, which is very, very related to the fields, which is very, very significant to the pharma profession, because whenever we are in the pharma profession, teaching is the very first thing we are always indebted to do. So always FDP happens, it happened in future, and it happens in future, it happened in the past also. So definitely there are certain things which are always being interrogated in the mind, that what is the output of those FDPs. But this is the very first time, I was talking some other day to Shailesh sir also, that this is the very first time such kind of FDPs which are related to the content of the syllabus which we are going to teach to our students. Definitely if such FDPs are going to be conducted, they are going to have a very, very vitalizing and a very, very important effect on the teachers as well as the students. So without wasting any further time, I would straightforward jump over to the topic of the presentation today. So, good morning all. I am Dr. Tapan Behel, and I will be talking today about the reproductive system and a little bit about the genetics in between the lecture. So, definitely for a reproductive system, definitely as we are human beings, so we are sexually reproducing and viviparous. What do you mean by viviparous? That we give birth to babies instead of eggs, right? So reproductive system is basically in humans include formation of gametes, which process is called as gametogenesis. The process of gamete formation is
Excuse me,
called
sir.
as
Excuse me, sir.
gametogenesis. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, your PPT not shared.
It is not shared, sir.
No, not shared, sir. Only screen of your folder, desktop folder that have to appears also.
Just give me a second, sir. Sir, can you see now? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. So basically, the reproductive system in humans include formation of gametes. This process is called as gametogenesis, in which in males sperms are produced and in females ovum are produced. And transfer of sperms into the female genital tract, this process is called insemination, in which the sperms from the male get transferred into the female genital tract, and then there is a fusion of male and female gametes. This process is called as fertilization, and it leads to the formation of zygote. Another process is this is followed by, once the zygote is formed, then that process continues further and blastocyst is formed. As you can see from the presentation that this is the zygote, then this is the 2-cell stage which is being formed, then 4-cell stage because division is then being acting there, then morula, blastocytes, and then embryo is being formed. And its attachment to the uterine wall, which is called as implantation, because something is getting attached to the uterine wall. And then embryonic development, which is called as the gestation, and the delivering of the babies takes place, which is called parturition. These are remarkable differences between the reproductive events in the male and the female. As we are very much aware that there is a menopause which occurs in females around the age of 50 years or 45 or 50 years. It varies. And in male, the sperm formation continues even in the old age. So definitely there is a difference in the morphology, physiology of the reproductive system, which is there in the males and the females, because the different time beings are being involved. Then coming to the very first system of the reproduction is the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region. It includes a pair of testes, which are called as its parts, epididymis, vas deferens, scrotum, along with accessory glands and external genitalia. So definitely male reproductive system includes many systems and many parts, components, which all in all comprise the male reproductive system. So first of all, coming to the very first part, which is called as scrotum. So what is scrotum? So scrotum is basically a pouch in which the testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity. And what is the role of the scrotum? See, every organ, they play a prominent role and its role cannot be ignored. So definitely scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testis, which is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, lower than the normal internal body temperature. And this body temperature is very important for prompting the spermatogenesis. This we will further study in the detail in the next stages. Spermatogenesis, as in general, leads to the formation of sperms. Then second component is, or the second part is, testis. In each scrotum lies two oval-shaped structures called testis. There are two oval-shaped structures which are called as testis, and it is about 4 to 5 centimeter in length and 2 to 3 centimeter wide. And they have compartments called testicular lobules. They have very minute compartments, approximately 250 compartments, which we are calling as the testicular lobules. And each lobule contains seminiferous tubules in which the sperms are produced. So definitely in the next slide, you are going to see epidermis is a tightly coiled tubule that is located along the posterior surface of each testis. It is responsible for conducting the sperm from tubule to vas deferens. This is epidermis. Here you can see that this is a coiled tube-like structure. This is a coiled tube-like structure, while vas deferens is a straight tube-like structure. Epidermis is having a coils. That is, there are the ends. Vas deferens, these are two thin, long, and hollow tubes that is protected by thick fibrous coating. There is a fibrous coating in this, and they are surrounded by arteries and veins because the blood has to be supplied. Its function is to carry the sperm from epidermis into the abdominal cavity, where it will end at the seminal vesicle and the ejaculatory duct, from where the ejaculation of the semen will be done. Ejaculatory duct function is the ejaculation of the semen will be done. Then there is the urethra, which originates from the urinary bladder and extends through the penis to its external opening called urethral meatus. This urethral meatus has two functions. First is the passing of the urine as well as the passing of the semen to leave the body. However, semen and urine will never go together. So definitely the urethra has an opening which we called as the urethral meatus, from where there are two important things which are going to be passed. First one is the sperm and second one is the urine. But the point to be noted is that semen and urine will never ever go together. Then coming to the next is external genitalia. This is another important part of the male reproductive system, which we called as the penis. This particular portion, whole of the thing is called as penis. It is the organ for intercourse, urination, and reproduction. So it has varied functions, like it produces the intercourse, it produces the urination, it produces the reproduction also, and it has a very special tissue that helps in the erection of the penis to facilitate insemination. The moment human penis is getting lodged into the vagina, that process is called as insemination. And the enlarged end of the penis is called as gland penis, which is covered by loose skin called foreskin. Here the foreskin is there, which is loose in character, and it is loose foreskin called foreskin is there at the enlarged end of the penis. Then there are some glands which are characteristics to the males. Like male accessory glands include paired seminal vesicles, a prostate, and a paired bulbourethral glands. Secretion from these glands constitute the seminal plasma, which is rich in fructose, calcium, and certain enzyme. They contain certain glands, contain the certain enzymes also. Apart from this, they also contain the fructose and the calcium. Then there are seminal vesicles, which are convoluted pouches along with the lower portion of the posterior surface of the bladder. And their function is to secrete a fluid which is viscous, alkali, and make the sperm increasingly motile, because the sperms has to move. They have to make their movement. So definitely, because of the vesicles, they secrete the fluid which is having a nature of viscous and alkali, and they enable the sperm to be motile. And then prostate gland. This is a chestnut-sized gland which is situated below the bladder. It is an alkaline fluid that adds protection to the sperm for being immobilized by the low pH level of the urethra, because urethra has low pH level, and female reproductive system in which the sperms are going to be entered, they also have the low pH level. So definitely there has to be some alkaline fluid which should add the protection to the sperm. So prostate gland secretes such alkaline fluid. Then bulbourethral gland and the Cowper gland. There are two glands located at the either end of the prostate glands, and its alkaline fluid that counteracts the acidic environments of the urethra and helps in the lubrication of the penis. So definitely the lubrication is very important of the penis, and that is being produced by the bulbourethral gland. So definitely these are the things which are very, very important when we are talking about the male reproductive system. Like the male reproductive system is basically located in the pelvic region, and it has different parts, including scrotum, then testis, then epididymis, then vas deferens, urethra, and then external genitalia. So these are the different parts of the male reproductive system. And then the male accessory glands, in which there are seminal vesicles, prostate gland, and bulbourethral glands comes. Or bulbourethral gland is also known as the Cowper gland. So definitely there are two adjacent names and the similar names like bulbourethral gland and the Cowper gland, which are producing the alkaline fluid. So definitely the alkaline fluid helps in the lubrication, they helps in the immobilization, and they helps in the basically motility also. So a wide variety of function is being produced by the glands, which are promoting the alkaline fluid. Then coming to the female reproductive system, the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries along with a pair of oviducts. Here the pair of ovaries are there, two ovaries are there, along with a pair of oviducts, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia located in the pelvic region. So these reproductive systems are located in the pelvic region of the male and the female. So definitely ovaries, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia, they all perform a vital role. So coming to the very first system is ovaries. Ovaries are the primary female sex organ that produces the female gamete. Very starting, we studied about gametogenesis, in which the sperm formation occurs in the males and ovum formation occurs in the females. So here the gametogenesis process, in which the ovum is produced, that produces in ovaries and several steroidal hormones. These ovaries are located on each side of the lower abdomen. Each ovary is about 2 to 4 centimeters in length and is connected to pelvic wall and uterus by ligaments. So there are ligaments which connects the pelvic wall and the uterus together. Then there are the fallopian tubes. They are the narrow tubes. Here you can see the fallopian tubes. So definitely these are the narrow tubes that are attached to the upper part of the uterus. This part of the uterus, it is being attached with the fallopian tubes and serve as a pathways for the egg to travel from the ovaries to the uterus. Definitely, once the egg is prepared, it is now being passed from the ovaries to the uterus, and then fertilization of the egg by sperm normally occurs in the fallopian tubes. The fertilized egg then moves to the uterus, where it implants into the uterine lining. Then uterus is a single and it is also called as womb. The shape of uterus is like an inverted pear. It is supported by ligaments. As I said, that pelvic wall and uterus get attached through the help of ligaments. The uterus opens into the vagina through a narrow cervix. So definitely this opening is called as the cervix, and it has three layers which are called as the perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. So uterus has three basically layers: perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. Then there is the cervix, which is the lowest part of the uterus, this part. A hole in the middle allows for sperm to enter and menstrual blood to exist. Definitely through this hole, the sperms get entered into the vaginal tract, and also during the menstruation, the menstrual blood get exited out. The cervix opens and dilates to allow a baby to come out during vaginal childbirth. So definitely during the childbirth, whenever there is a childbirth, the cervix has to be opened, and it get opens whenever it is dilated. So cervix plays a very important role during the childbirth also. In vagina, the uterus open into the vagina. Here it is through an arrow cervix. The cervical canal along with the vagina forms the birth canal. This is the organ for female intercourse. So definitely for the males, it is the penis, and for females, it is the vagina. Then female genitalia, in which mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen, and clitoris occurs. So in male genitalia, it was the penis, and in female genitalia, it is the mons pubis, which is a cushion of fatty tissues, which is covered by skin and pubic hair. And then labia majora, these are fleshy folds of tissue which extend down from the mons pubis and surrounds the vaginal opening. There is opening of the vaginal, where it is called as the labia majora, this particular part. Then labia minora, these are pair folds of tissues under the labia majora. These are multiple folds or the pair folds of the tissue under the labia majora. It is called the labia minora. Then hymen. which is the opening of the vagina, which is covered by a membrane called hymen. This is the membrane which covers the opening of the vagina. Then clitoris, it is the this particular portion is called as clitoris, which is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of the two labia minora above the urethral opening. This is the urethral opening, and above this the clitoris is present. So here you can see from the picture that this is the urethral opening, and from upwards this clitoris is present, which is a tiny finger-like structure. Then definitely when we are talking about the reproductions, hormones do play a very mandate role, and its role cannot be ignored at any time. So definitely from hypothalamus, then GnRH, then anterior pituitary, then LH, FSH surge, then male testis, there is a formation of testosterone, and female ovaries, estradiol and progesterone. So testosterone, estradiol and progesterone collectively are called as the sex hormones. So definitely testosterone, there is a which is produced in the males, and the source of production is testis. And what is the main function? They stimulate the male's secondary sexual characteristics. Whatever the secondary sexual characteristics, beard, mustache, they are being produced by these kind of hormones. Then estrogen, which is being produced in females, and progesterone also females. Estrogen is produced in ovaries, and then progesterone is produced in ovaries and the placenta, and they stimulate the female secondary sexual characteristics and repair of the walls of the uterus and controls ovulation. And they progesterone prevents the wall of the uterus to gets breakdown. So definitely whatever the roles of these hormones, they cannot be ignored, and that cannot be surpassed, because these are the hormones which are playing a very magical role in all the processes of the reproduction. So the this up to this was the role of the male reproductive system, how the female reproductive system, and what are the various parts of the male and the female reproductive system. And in the initial slide, we have discussed that what is what is gametogenesis, what is insemination, what is intercourse, and then what is reproduction, and what is the characteristic features of we as a human beings, that we are viviparous and sexually reproducing. We are not asexual organisms, we are sexual organisms. So definitely when the sexual organisms word comes, the very next word which should come in our mind is the spermatogenesis, because sexual organs means the sexual and intercourse things are involved. So definitely it is going to be involved when there is the sperm formation, and that sperm formations get produced in the males. So spermatogenesis is the process from which the haploid sperms develop from spermatogonia germ cells in the seminiferous tubules of testes. The spermatogonia present on this is the spermatogonium. Then the primospermatocyte is formed. Then meiosis once takes place, and it gets split into two daughter cells, secondary spermatocyte. Then meiosis 2 takes place on the individual these cells, and then 4 cells are being produced, and then the spermatozoa is being formed. So definitely the secondary spermatocytes, they then undergoes the meiotic division to form 4 equal haploid spermatids, and then spermatids are then transformed to spermatozoa by spermiogenesis. These spermatids which are being formed here, they get transformed, and they get transformed into the spermatozoa here, which are called as the sperms by spermiogenesis. So definitely spermiogenesis or spermatogenesis is the formation of sperms, and it get transformed from the spermatid stage. Then oogenesis, the process of mature Graafian follicle is called as oogenesis. It is initiated during the embryonic development stage when a couple of millions gamete mother cells are formed within each fetal ovary. So definitely the oogonium process takes place. And then just give me a second. Just give me a second. I hope I am audible again.
Yes, sir. Audible.
Audible, sir.
Okay, and my slides are also visible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we were discussing the oogenesis in which the ovum gets produced, and this process of formation of the mature female is called as oogenesis. And it is initiated during the embryonic development stage when a couple of million gametes, mother cell oogonia, are formed within each fetal ovary. This is the oogonium, where a number of cells are being produced in the fetal ovary. Then mitosis occurs and they get divided into two. This is daughter oogonium. Then growth occurs, primary oocytes get formed, and again, like spermatogenesis, here meiosis 1 takes place in which first polar body and the secondary oocytes get formed. And then meiosis 2 takes place in which the second polar body and the ovum gets produced. So definitely a large number of these follicles degenerate during the during this phase from birth to puberty. Therefore, at puberty, only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. At puberty, at maturity, the 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left. And then primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells and a new theca and are called as secondary follicles. Then the secondary follicles are transformed into see here you can see, they are transformed into the tertiary follicles, which are characterized by the fluid-filled cavity called antrum. And then primary oocytes within the tertiary follicles grow in size and completes its meiotic division. It is an unequal division, resulting in formation of secondary haploid oocytes and first polar body. And then ultimately it leads to the process of ovulation, where the Graafian follicle ruptures to release the secondary oocytes from the ovary. So definitely when the oocytes are being released from the ovary, that process is called as ovulation. So this is the end of the oogenesis where the ovulation takes place. Then coming to the third important topic, menstruation. Before jumping into this particular topic, I would like to say a little bit about the reproductive system. As of now, we have covered that what is the reproductive system, what are the characteristics of the we humans as the sexually producing and the viviparous persons. And then there are the parts of the male characterizations of the different parts of the male and the female reproductive system, because broadly we are classifying the reproductive system into two parts. One is the male reproductive system and second is the female reproductive system. And then we have studied and discussed about the various parts of the male reproductive system, what were the different parts and what are the functions being produced by them. And then the female reproductive system and what are the parts of them and what functions each part is performing. Then we also studied about the male and the female sex hormones, what are the parts and how they are going to perform, how they are going to link, and then the hormones which are being produced, how they are going to affect the functioning of the reproductive system. Then we talked about spermatogenesis, in which the sperms are being produced, and oogenesis, in which the ovum is getting produced. And now we will be talking about the menstruation. So definitely spermatogenesis, oogenesis, and genetics, they are very involved, because definitely there is a transmission of characters from the parents to the offspring. There is a transferation of the genes. So genes get transformed, and this study whole is called as the genetics. So how the genes are getting transformed and whatever the effects or the repercussions they are being followed, and whatever the characters they are producing in the human beings in the next generation, definitely that whole study involves the genetic stages. So definitely genetics is also a very, you can say, wide domain which is yet to be explored, although a little bit of things have been very much investigated, but a lot of things have to be explored. So definitely it's an under-scratched field always. But definitely genetics is an essence of the living organisms, how we are how we have produced, how we are going to produce the future generations. So definitely these all things comes under the genetic studies. Then coming to the menstruation. So menstruation is basically the breakdown of the endometrial lining of the uterus. There was the uterus breakage which occurs during the menstruation, not exactly uterus, but rather the endometrial lining of the uterus that gets break, and blood vessels resulting in the liquid that is expelled through the vaginal canal. And it occurs for 3 days, and it occurs every 28 to 29 days, which lasts for 3 to 5 days. Frequency varies from 3 to 5 days. So definitely in this particular menstrual cycle, one ovum is released during the mid of the menstrual cycle. So there are different phases of the menstruation, which we called as the menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulation phase, and the luteal phase. So these are different phases of the menstruation. There are different things which are happening during these phases, and the things are going to be discussed further. Like first, we're talking about the menstrual phase. This particular phase we will be talking about, in which the cycle starts with the menstrual phase, in which the menstrual flow occurs, which lasts for 3 to 5 days. As I told you, that the menstruation occurs in 28 to 29 days for a period of approximately 3 to 5 days. And when the ovum is not fertilized, when it is not fertilized, the corpus luteum starts degenerating, and the functional layer of uterus, that is endometrium, sheds off, which results in menstruation. During this phase, estrogen and progesterone, which were the female sex hormones, their level falls down. And menstrual flow consists of secretion from endometrial lining, unfertilized ovum, and the blood. And then there is a follicular phase, in which the menstrual phase is followed by a follicular phase, which extends for another 9 days. And it's this stage, the primary follicle in the ovary grow to become fully mature Graafian follicle. Endometrium lining of the uterus, which was degenerated earlier, now it regenerates through proliferation. It is multiplication. It becomes thicker by rapid cell multiplication, accompanied by increase in mucus secreting glands and blood capillaries. And these are the changes in ovary and uterus are induced by changes in the level of pituitary and ovarian hormones. So gonadotropins, which are luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, increase gradually in this phase and stimulates follicular development. This stimulates the development of the follicles. Then there is the ovulatory phase. Definitely there was 4 phases, which are the menstrual phase, then follicular phase, ovulation phase, and the luteal phase. So definitely we as of now have studied the menstrual phase. In the menstruation starts and the corpus luteum starts degenerating. Then we have studied the follicular phase, in which the follicles are going to develop, and the endometrial lining, which was shedded earlier, now it is going to be regenerated. So definitely it has to be done through the mucus secreting glands as well as the blood capillaries. Then there is the ovulation phase. Ovulation phase is very important, because there is a rapid secretion of luteinizing hormone, that FSH and LH surge, which was occurring there, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. There is a rapid secretion of the follicle stimulating hormone, and maximum during the mid cycle. Here you can see that this at the particular 14th day, it is called the LH surge, which induces the rupture of a Graafian follicle. At this particular stage, the Graafian follicles get ruptured, and release of ovum from the ovary is the ovulatory phase. As I told you that when the ovum get released from the ovulatory, that is called as the ovulatory phase. And then last is the luteal phase. So luteal phase is basically followed by a ovulatory phase, which lasts for next 14 days. And in this particular phase, the Graafian follicle transforms into corpus luteum. The corpus luteum gets formed. This corpus luteum then secretes a large amount of progesterone, which I talked about earlier is the sex hormone of the females. And this hormone is very important for maintaining the endometrial lining, which is again very important for implantation of the fertilized egg, because that gets attached to there. If the ovum, which is produced, is fertilized, it gets embedded in the wall of uterus, where it grows and produces the hormone HCG, which is called as human gonadotropin, which stimulates corpus luteum to continue secreting progesterone. Whereas in the absence of fertilization, corpus luteum will degenerate, and that causes disintegration of endometrial lining, marking a new menstrual cycle. So definitely the cycles which get produced, the cycle within the when the new cycles get produced in the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum will degenerate and that causes disintegration of the endometrial lining. So definitely there is the endometrial lining whose degeneration and regeneration takes place during the formation and happening of the menstrual cycle as well as the non-happening of the menstrual cycle. So definitely this endometrium shedding as well as the regeneration plays a very important role among all these processes. Then this is the last slide of the presentation. So definitely I always end the presentation with the take home message. So definitely reproduction system is itself a very important system because it is related to genetics. As I mentioned earlier, it is related to the life, it is related to the livelihood, it is related to the future generations. So definitely there are a number of problems which are being generated nowadays because of the reproductive system unawareness. So definitely there is always a remedy for every problem. So there are some strategies which have to be involved and improved to access sexual and reproductive health services, like providing contraception on campus. On-campus STI screening, sexually transmitted disease screening should be there in the campus. Then condom availability programs, as we have seen that there are certain programs of the government run by the government of India where a condom availability programs are being generated. Then online contraceptive providers should be there. Mobile health clinic should be there. We should regularly check the health status, especially the reproductive health status of the males as well as the females. So if there is any sexually transmitted disease that gets easily visualized and that get easily visualized at the very as first stage, and then there is a telehealth services which are occurring there, and then school clinic partnerships. So all these things, all these promoters are the things, are the strategies which are being involved to improve the sexual as well as the reproductive health services. So this is all about my presentation. So thank you for your time and patience. And if there is any query, please let me know. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for delivering exceptionally and insightful and engaging sessions on Module 5 Reproductive Systems. Your expertise and lucid of explanation have greatly enriched the participant understandings. Then I will be requested to the all audience, all participants to interact and to ask any questions, any doubts to the resource persons. Over to you all audience. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.